I don't know if anyone else here has experienced this, but this is something that I've like really thought about for a while, and it's like when I was in grade school, I had a lot of just I'm just gonna say I had a lot of really like bitchy language arts teachers. Like they were just they were pretentious, they were snobby, they had like this mentality that they seemed like they were acting better than everyone else, and they just were not nice at all. And I had so many, and I'm really not trying to sound sexist here. I'm really not. I had a lot of other female teachers that were great that were not English teachers, but the female English teachers that I had, they were just they were just bitches. They were just bitches. And like I'll go into it. So I don't really elementary. I'm gonna start from like middle school and high school. Like sixth grade, I had this old lady. Her name was Miss Schmidt, and she was just she was so annoying. Like you couldn't do anything. Like she would try to give you citations about any and everything, and she'd be like, "That's a citation. That's a citation." I don't know why I said that in like an English accent. She wasn't English, but she would just say that all the time, like, and over stupid things too, like, oh, like somebody just talking a little bit while like she's like, even if they're not being loud, like I could understand if they were being really loud and disruptive, but like even when we were just working on assignments, like she would not let us talk or do anything. Like she just any and every reason she would try to find to give you a citation. And I almost got a citation one time for she thought I was talking. It's like it wasn't even me, it was the girl next to me. And I mean, luckily the girl actually owned up to it that she was the one talking, and I didn't get the citation because I was about to be like, that's a bunch of crap if I got a citation for nothing. Um, that was my sixth grade English teacher. And then seventh and eighth grade, I had the same English teacher for seventh and eighth grade once I moved from Creekland. I went to Creekland in sixth grade, but I transferred to Twin Rivers in seventh and eighth grade. And I had this other English teacher for seventh and eighth grade. Now, I didn't really like her that much seventh grade, but like it wasn't too bad. I had another teacher in there. I was still in collab. Um, Anyone who doesn't know, I had to kind of be in resource, for school. I was struggling academically due to my autism, and I had to be in resource classes. That I eventually moved from resource to collab, and then I eventually finally got out of all my collab and got to normal classes eighth grade through the rest of my high school career. So when I had her for seventh grade, she had her name was Miss Jones, by the way. Well, it was Jones, and then she got married, and it changed to Begno, which is French or something. I don't know. I really don't know. So seventh grade was okay, but when I had her for eighth grade, it was just her. There was no other teacher in the room, and she was just y'all. She was probably my least favorite teacher ever. She was such a bitch. Like she would like make me I literally came home crying from her class. She was just rude to me. She said all kinds of condescending, demeaning things to me. She just did not like me for whatever reason. Like she picked her few students she liked, and everybody else, like she was just a complete witch. Like she was nasty, like nasty. And there's some things she said to me. I mean, I'm at the point now. I mean, I don't care. I'm just reliving it. I'm just kind of retelling this story. But I've gotten over all of it now. But like, since I'm on the subject of mean language arts teachers, she was like the meanest. She literally, I did forget things sometimes, or I got stressed, or I couldn't handle certain things due to my being neurodivergent, and she would literally like call me dumb. She would literally say that I was dumb. She said I wasn't going to graduate high school. I mean, she bullied me verbally. She verbally bullied me. And I was an 8th grader. That means I would have been probably like, I was either 12 or 13, because you usually turn like 14 in 9th grade. I was probably at least I was only 13 years old, so I'm just barely I'm like a preteen, barely like a teenager. I kind of consider 14 through 17 more like teenage years. But she told me all these things, and like I would come home crying and distressed. Like, I came home so upset from the things she said to me. Just and after enough times of me coming home being upset, my parents decided, oh, we're gonna have a meeting with her. And so my parents had a parent teacher meet. I didn't go, but they had a meeting with her, and they were just addressing the things that I was telling them. And anyone who knows me, I don't lie. I don't make up things. Like, I'm not that person who's trying to get a teacher into trouble or like, I am not that person. I know those people exist, but I'm not one of those people. And they just kind of told her everything that I was relaying to them. And she basically just didn't admit to any of it. She lied, and she said, oh, well, I just think he doesn't get my sense of humor. I'm just being sarcastic or whatever. That was not a sense of humor. She was bullying me. I don't care what she wants to label it as. She was bullying me. I know what bullying is. I've been bullied a lot in my life. And it's one thing to be bullied by another student. I mean, it sucks. Bullying in any form, whether it's verbal or physical, it sucks. And I've been bullied by other students. But to be bullied by an adult, I'm just like, you're a disgusting person. She was a disgusting person, and I just, like, she did not need to be a teacher. People like her do not need to be a teacher. They are a detriment to the education system. But yeah, I don't really want to spend much more time on her, but she was vile, y'all. She was one of the most vile people I've ever met in my life. And I remember, like, as soon as the semester was over and I was done with 8th grade, I was like, I hope I never see this woman again, ever. So then we go into high school. Let's go into my English teachers from high school. I had Miss Ortman. Her name was Jennifer Ortman for 9th grade, and she wasn't the worst English teacher, but she still was just kind of just moody, just kind of rude, just had this attitude of like, she just didn't want to be there or teach, and she just always seemed annoyed about everything. Again, she wasn't as bad as Miss Begno. She wasn't like the worst teacher I had, but I don't know, she just wasn't very friendly, wasn't very nice. But she didn't bully me or anything. So that was Miss Ortman, my 9th grade English teacher. And then 10th grade, I had this old lady, Miss Benjamin, and she was, I don't know, like, I didn't really love her, I didn't hate her, I didn't have any really kind of strong feelings about her, but I felt she could be annoying about things sometimes. She would just, I don't know, she just like, I feel like she made a bigger deal out of things than she needed to make. And I feel like that's a recurring theme about language English teachers. They just act so persnickety and just like they're above everything. And if they have to explain anything, they get annoyed, or they just try to belittle you or talk to you in a condescending. I don't know. Like maybe other people had good language arts teachers. I did not. Like I've had maybe two good ones, but so that was her. That was Miss Benjamin, and then 11th grade and the first semester of 12th grade, I had this other English teacher. Her name was Miss Baldwin, and she was, she was just not good either. She was always just, she seemed so annoyed, like she hated her job. She didn't like being there. She didn't want to teach. She was rude. She acted all, you know, like she was above everything, just very pretentious. This seems to be the recurring theme for me with English teachers in grade school. I don't know what it was, but most of my language arts teachers, they were just, they like tried to like talk to you condescending all the time. They just made you do a bunch of stupid things you didn't want to do. And she, would, you know, it wasn't like the worst with her, my junior year. I mean, I still didn't really like her. She was just moody and just, if you don't like teaching, if you don't like children, don't be a teacher. We didn't, it's not our fault you're there. Like, you chose that profession. Nobody made you do it. So if you don't like teaching and if you don't like children and teenagers, it's like, don't be a teacher. If you want to teach more adults, be a college professor then. So that was her. And then, oh my gosh, the first half of senior year when I had her, I happened to have a particularly like bad class that misbehaved a lot. Like, I had a lot of troublemakers in that class, and that made her even madder. And she would like yell, like she like was just raging. Like, it was honestly just like, oh my gosh, like, you're a teacher and this is how you're acting. Like, she would yell, just full on yell. She would, punish the whole class. Like, if a few people were acting up, she would punish the whole class. She was one of those. And it's just like, why are the rest of us getting punished because of some idiots who don't care and can't shut their mouths and want to be like smart alecks or whatever? Like, why can't you just target them? Why do you have to like take it out on the whole class? And that's what she did. She would take it out on the whole class. But luckily, the second semester, I had to get rid of an elective and switch to a different elective. So by doing that, it kind of changed the rest of my schedule. And, but I was very glad that I got taken out of her class and I got put into a different, English teacher the second semester of my senior year. And she was like the only one in my whole grade school career. She was the only one that I actually didn't hate. Like, she was, a nice person. She, didn't make it such a big deal about things. She wasn't pretentious. She wasn't snobby. She didn't act superior like all the other ones. She was just nice and down to earth. Her name was Miss McDaniel. And, I liked her. So, like, she's like the only English teacher that I didn't really dislike. She was cool. And then, I had a professor, an English professor at the school I'm at now in college, Mr. Yarborough. He was real cool too. Like, he was down to earth. He just kind of, he had his clear expectations of what he expected from us and what he expected on the 3 major essays and the assignments. And, I did okay in his class. Like, he was nice. He was a nice guy. He didn't make it harder than it needed to be. I mean, he told us exactly what he wanted. He told us, he didn't accept late work unless you had a valid excuse. And, you know, if you did your stuff, I mean, and you actually put in effort and did what he was telling you, you could, you know, do well. And I did well. I made an A in his class. So, yeah, I don't know what it is with English teachers, but I feel like I got kind of traumatized by middle and high school. I got traumatized from English, you know, language arts, because I just had a lot of like rude, bad teachers, and almost all of them were women, and they just were, I don't know, they were just a bunch of Karens. I really feel like all of them except for Miss McDaniel, they were all a bunch of Karens, and they just, oh, I'm just glad I don't have to deal with them anymore. But yeah, that's just my experience with English teachers. I don't know if anyone else had similar experiences. Like, I enjoyed my math teachers usually. I enjoyed my science teachers. I even enjoyed my history teachers. And I don't really care much about history, but it was something about the language arts teachers. I don't know what it was. They just thought they were on some high level, and they just wanted to make everyone's life miserable. I don't know. But that's it. That's the end of the video.